right, guys, welcome back to the Relentless Warrior Podcast. I'm James Larimore, your host. I'm the owner, obviously, of Relentless Warrior as well as APEX Training Systems. And I'm really excited about today's episode. Today is going to talk about a specific avenue within our APEX Training Systems that I believe applies directly to all of our listeners of the Relentless Warrior Podcast. As you guys know, we talk a lot about preparedness, and viewing the world through clear, reality-based lenses rather than the fantasy and fiction that we're sold and told we should see and believe. Also, some of you watching this have been asked by me to watch this because you've either inquired about one branch of APEX Training Systems or you are a current student. And so we're going to talk specifically about APEX MMA. But those of you who are not a part of APEX, haven't done any of our firearms training or on-site threat assessments, any of that, and are not training MMA with us, please stay tuned. I believe the pillars of APEX MMA are incredibly applicable to your preparedness journey, and what you might be here for. But as I said, we're going to talk specifically about the pillars of APEX MMA. This is sort of the blueprint, the roadmap that guides me, that guides our instructors in what we seek to teach, what we seek to instill in all of our students. This is also, ironically, the roadmap that I use for my firearms training. It's the roadmap that I use for threat assessments and teaching people how to clear and square their own house away. So these principles translate really well. They're also the principles I try to apply to my own life and my own preparedness journey. So again, I think they are really applicable across the board. But this specific podcast, we're going to talk a lot about APEX MMA. So just a quick bio on me, why I started APEX MMA, what qualifies me, and what was it that motivated me to start the MMA school. I've been training MMA for, holy smokes, 40 years, which is scary to say. My son produces, he's sitting right there, and he just looked at me like, oh my gosh, Dad, you're super old. I've been training some style of martial art for 40 years. I was involved in MMA before it was cool, before UFC came into be. I was in Amarillo, Texas, home of the shoot fights. And one of the things I experienced during my time training martial arts was the commercialization of it and what became what I call black belt mills, belt factories, karate schools, taekwondo schools, Jeet Kune Do schools that ended up falling into this trap. That it was basically, I understand the way to get in the people in the door is promise them a black belt in a year or 2 years or whatever. The way I make money is I sell them a belt test every 2 or 3 months, promote them, and they pay me extra money for the belt test. And they have this goal of I'm a black belt. And I had, I'll call it the fortune because I was able to learn quite a bit. I was the head instructor at a couple of schools that this was their modality. This was the way they did business. And what I saw was a lot of people earning, quote unquote, a black belt and feeling as though they were very safe in the world, feeling as though they were prepared for any type of physical confrontation that they might be involved in. And me knowing in my heart that was absolutely not the case. If you know me at all, you know I couldn't stomach that, and so I didn't stick around those schools very long. But what I have seen is the proliferation of those schools. We will talk directly about BJJ because I think jiu-jitsu has some really unique positives that we try to incorporate into APEX. That they've steered away from that, but they've done a really good job. But also I think they leave out something, and we'll talk about that as well. So I'm going to dive into the pillars, the 12 pillars that guide us at APEX MMA. The first pillar is responsibility over victimhood. One of the things that we try to instill in every single one of our students, and again, this is through all areas of Apex training systems, is that the world doesn't owe us anything. And there's a mentality, it's not a mentality. I really do think it's a nefarious force. Call it corporate, call it whatever, that is trying to teach people that the world owes them something. And that's absolutely not the case. What we know is we can prepare, we can be forward thinking, we can use our intellect to see what's coming at us and do our very best to respond appropriately. We have to understand that currently we're not everything that we could be, and we know it, per Jordan Peterson, right? We have to understand that we are not as squared away as we could be. We do have circumstances in our lives that have impacted our ability to respond to threats, our ability to respond to the world around us. We do have disadvantages. Everyone has some type of disadvantage. Some people have a list of disadvantages. Some people have a very long list of advantages. And honestly, that doesn't matter. Our reality is what it is. And what we try to teach at Apex is we take our reality, we adapt, we improvise, we overcome, and we move forward regardless of where we're starting. In the kids' class, lots of times we'll have young, small kids say, "Oh, I can't do this technique. He's too big." And then once they learn the technique, they're like, "Oh, I could do this. This is not that challenging, and I could do it to someone twice his size," right? It's the belief that we don't want an excuse. We don't need an excuse. We want to accept our own personal reality for what it is, accentuate our strengths, diminish and reduce our weaknesses, and move forward from there. That requires our second pillar, which is discipline. Discipline creates freedom, as Jocko said, right? Discipline creates more opportunities, not less. There is a misnomer that if we are disciplined, we reduce our ability to have fun. We reduce our ability or the number of options at our fingertips, which is absolutely not the case. It requires discipline to make it to class every time the doors are open, right? And I know that's an unachievable goal. We won't make it to class every single time the doors are open, but it requires discipline to be consistent in our training. It requires a mindset that we understand, hey, the value at the end of this road is worth the time commitment. Now, again, I was a little bit crazy about it when I was young. If it wasn't football season, I was training 4 nights a week, 3 hours a night, every week. Take the holidays out, I guess. But beyond that, I was training 4 hours a week, 3 hours a night, very, very consistently for a long number of years. That, I understand, in 2025 is not a realistic expectation, right? However, when we commit and we say we're going to train twice a week, we're going to train 3 times a week, the discipline to prioritize that and make it happen creates more opportunities for us. It makes the world bigger, right? It makes it, we become freer with discipline to say yes to opportunities because we understand we can be in situations and we're more capable of responding no matter what might transpire. So again, that second pillar is that the discipline to train creates freedom. Those of you not associated with Apex, go do jujitsu. Again, like Jocko said, do jujitsu. You can watch the videos, do jujitsu. I can't do the impersonation, but he said it. And I agree, where I would say do MMA, train. Go and train. It will help you in every aspect of your life. Those of you who are here for the preparedness conversation, the discipline brings us to pillar 3, and that is preparedness brings us peace. I believe in peace through preparedness. Now, true peace does not come through arrogance. True peace does not come through denial. It's not pretending that evil doesn't exist. That is not true peace. If you're a fan of the show, you've heard me talk about facing the world with eyes wide open allows for more joy, right? But what we have to do is we have to prepare for the negative eventualities so that we can better enjoy the day-to-day blessings in our lives. I preach against. You will hear me talk about we should not live paranoid. Apex is not paranoia training. We train capabilities. We want you to be the most capable version of yourself that's possible. If I'm very capable, then my opportunities to take my family out with a sense of peace and joy and understanding of the world around me, but also understanding the blessings around me expands. And so we use the discipline, the commitment to being here, to training, to open ourselves up to the peace that comes through being prepared. You guys have heard me talk about whether it's food storage, firearms training, understanding the advantages and disadvantages tactically in your own house. All of those trainings, all of that work makes us more prepared. And from that preparedness, we draw a greater sense of peace. Preparedness gives you calm, it gives you confidence, and it gives you clarity. One of my good friends trains with us at APEX MMA, David. He recently told me about an interaction where he had taken his dog out. He saw a great spot on the river, was going to throw the ball with his dog and just enjoy a half hour in, God's nature. And here comes a guy screaming and hollering at him, cussing at him, talking about how he's on private property and all of these things. My friend had missed the very small no trespassing sign, and he was just in the river with his friend. Now, my friend had a variety of options at his disposal. Some of them would have great consequence. And so, but in his story, he said, through training with APEX MMA, I felt calm. I felt like I don't have to go to an extreme to protect myself. I can relax and I can just talk to this guy. I'm ready in case he does something silly. I'm prepared. And because I'm prepared, I can respond in a way that brings peace to the situation, brings peace ultimately to the other individual. And that story ended with this guy who was all mad, fired up, coming to fight David, giving him a hug. Right? So David was not only able to have peace within himself, he was able to bring peace to a situation that otherwise could have gone very sideways. The same thing comes with our students, our young, our children and our teens who train. There's a peace that comes from knowing, hey, I can take care of myself. I have a general awareness that I didn't used to have, and I don't need to walk around, the schoolhouse, don't need to walk down the halls, don't need to be, out in a social setting, afraid or leery of the world, because I've put in the work. I'm prepared. I can take care of myself. And one, I know better than to put myself in situations that can get out of hand. But two, if a situation does go sideways, I'm ready for it. And that gives not only those students, those kids a peace of mind, but it gives parents a peace of mind. Now, all of this, and I know I'm going fast, but I want you guys to get them all. All of this comes from humility. Now, this is one of the keystones that differentiates Apex, I believe, from other martial arts schools. We don't do ego at Apex. We take feedback. We each learn from each other. We honor our time. We understand that experience is earned, and it should not ever really be declared. You guys very rarely hear me talk about my experience in the Army. This is the first time you're going to have heard me speak any at length about my experiences with MMA. We understand that all of us have many things to learn, many parts of our game to develop, many parts of our lives need developing, and we can all learn from each other. I really do. I feel like I learn from the people who train with us at Apex MMA all of the time. I learn not only techniques or ways to look at a certain physical problem, but much more so in a mentality base or a spiritual base. We learn from each other. And so we have to bring that humility to our training. If you go to the mat feeling like you are the strongest, the most squared away, the toughest guy in the room, you're going to end up getting to a mat, and you're one, that no one's going to want you around, and two, there's always somebody there that's going to humble you, right? Like I've trained at schools. We had guys come in that way, and they never really lasted long. The guys who come in, the men and women who come in with the understanding that I can learn from everybody in this room. I can learn something from everybody in this room, and I'm here to learn those things, and I'm also here to help. Man, that's where community is built, but that's also where we see skill jump through the roof. We understand that humility is the foundation of strength. Really what it is, humility is strength that's under control. And so we work to instill that as we go. We watch students who struggled, very, very beginner students who could not execute a shrimp. Right? They could not turn to a side and shrimp their hips out. If you don't know what that's talking about, what I'm talking about, come see me. We'll get you coached up in about 10 minutes. But they couldn't execute a shrimp. And you watch them acquire that, and now they're the shrimp champs. We see this a ton in our young kids who train. They get there, they don't know how to get their back off the mat. They don't know how to shrimp out of a situation. We teach them, and their face lights up, and now they're shrimping back and forth on the mat like a champ. And inevitably, what we see is very soon they reach out to the new kid who's struggling to shrimp, and they're talking them through it. They're coaching them through it. And immediately they are helping bring that other student back up to the level where they need to be so that they can add skills. That's humility. And it's one of the most rewarding things we see. So I want to slow down for a second. We've got discipline. We've got the idea that we're pursuing peace by being prepared. And we have a foundation of humility that says, I can learn from everyone. Great. We need that to start. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about requires us to look at the world through an honest lens. You will never hear me try to scare someone. You will never hear me try to build a big bad wolf who's out there and you should train because there's a scary guy who's coming to get you. You will always hear me talk about the fact that we live in a reality that has many wonderful, beautiful things and people, and also many ugly and evil people, right? And scenarios. And so what we do, the things we do, help us build, but require courage in the face of fear. At Apex, you're never going to hear me say, you should never be afraid. Not at all. You're going to hear me say there will be times in our lives, hopefully very few, but there are times in our lives where we're scared. And courage is choosing to act in the best way possible, even though we're scared. David Goggins talks about having callousing the mind, doing hard things on purpose so that fear loses its grip. I don't necessarily align with David Goggins on a lot of things, but I do when it comes to doing hard things. Do things that are scary. Do things that challenge us. Try things that we don't think we're going to knock out of the park right away. This is one of the greatest things about jiu-jitsu is that if you've never moved around on the ground and you go move around on the ground, you're like, this is like moving around on a foreign planet. So a protector, which, by the way, I believe we are all called to be, whether it's our 9-year-old girls who are training in kids Apex MMA, the single moms who are doing firearms training, dads, obviously, brothers, sisters, we all at some point in our lives will have someone and something to protect. Protectors move forward in the face of fear. Even if our voice shakes a little bit, even if we're a little nervous, we know the right thing to do and we choose to do it, right? Living on the border between paralyzed by fear and naive to any threats, it's not a good place to live, right? We want to understand the realities of the world. And again, there's tons of beauty to enjoy in that. We understand the realities of the world. And if we find ourselves in a situation that seems to be scary, we have prepared. We have exercised discipline. We have humility, and we're able to act even though it's hard. That is something that is a key capstone for anyone who trains with Apex. We're going to put ourselves in situations that prepare us for the outside world in case it gets scary. One of the things I pride myself on is and I think you'll see and you'll hear people who train with Apex MMA, they talk about, we're not about putting you in a situation and saying, what do you do? We're not about chuck you in the deep end of the pool and say, okay, well, you better swim, Jack. That's not what we do. We train at your pace to get you where you need to be. Understanding that outside the walls of the gym, the world can become scary quickly. And what you're doing is working towards being able to respond to that as well as possible. And I think that's something that is really, really vital. The sixth pillar goes really along with that courage. It's awareness, right? Awareness without anxiety. Awareness means we see reality clearly and that we don't walk around scared. We don't walk around in denial. In Jordan Peterson's words, we are aware so that we can create order in chaos, right? One of the things you will hear me say as you train with Apex MMA is relax your face. You'll hear me say it all the time. Relax your face, especially when we're in the jiu-jitsu phase and you're in a negative spot. You're underneath some big guy. I'm not a small guy, and I'm one of the smallest adult men who train in the adult class, right? We get underneath a big guy. You'll hear me say, relax your face, relax your face. We want order in chaos. And that is something that is it earned through experience, right? We want to be able to not over dramatize a situation, not under evaluate a situation. We want to have an awareness of the environment, of our situation, how it is changing and evolving. We want to have an awareness of our own emotions, and we want to have a tactical awareness. You have heard me talk about how in a kinetic situation, I mean, I hear this all the time from women's self-defense, from moms that I work with. They say, well, if it's ever needed, the mama bear will come out. And I agree with the sentiment of that. But understand that in a truly kinetic situation, if you're a single mom or you're a mom out on your own in town and someone tries to snatch your child, the mama bear may come out, but what our body responds is we don't rise to the occasion. We fall to the level of our training and our preparedness. And there are very sad stories that confirm that sentiment in the news every day. And so I say it again, we don't rise to the occasion magically or because we have this emotional response to, we fall to the level of our preparedness and our training. And so what we do as protectors is we try to remain as aware as we possibly can. We see danger early, and often we will avoid dangerous situations entirely. This should play out in the way you drive. This should play out in the way you walk through the supermarket. And it should absolutely play out if you're ever in a contentious situation or you find yourself surprised. You find yourself caught off guard. That awareness that we build through discipline, through training, through the peace of humility, we build an awareness that becomes second nature to us and allows us as much response time as is possible if things go wrong. Now, here comes probably the number one difference between Apex MMA and every other martial arts school that I've ever been a part of. I've been the head instructor at some of the greatest martial arts schools that I've ever seen or heard about, as well as some of the ones that aren't so great. Um, and the one thing that it taught me is that we're going to build our capabilities on practical skill. Let me say that again. The seventh pillar that we train at Apex is practicality. Now, if you want to become a competitor, if you want to go and compete in a jiu-jitsu tournament, if you want to go and compete in some kind of stand-up tournament, I'm all for it. Qualified for the junior Olympic team in Taekwondo when I was 15 years old, I think. I will take you to any kind of competition level you want to go, but understand that our foundation is practicality. Unfortunately, in a violent situation, you can't just think your way out of violence. You can't negotiate with someone who has decided they're going to harm you. So we have to have the capability to respond, and we build that capability through practical scenario-based situations that coincidentally translate very well to a competitive nature. However, we understand that there's a level of practicality, there's a level of aggression or violence that is required if someone brings it to our doorstep that is not trained in most martial arts schools anymore. So the way how do we gain that capability? First and foremost, you gain the capability through reps. You got to come, you got to work. You've got to train skills that you've already learned, and you got to get better at them, right? We also have to put ourselves under pressure just a bit, right? Now with our kids, it's a different scenario, right? Our kids come in with a smile, leave with a bigger smile, but we talk them through quick situations where the pressure is up. What would we do? Oh, okay, this is what we do. And now we're back to having fun. Our teens and adults, we understand and we put ourselves in pressure situations. We protect safety. We're not looking for anyone to get hurt while we train, but we're going to put ourselves in the pressure cooker just a bit. Now, what does that look like? Or what does that feel like? We're going to embrace discomfort. And I'll talk a little bit more later about why being uncomfortable is far better than being comfortable. But we have to put the techniques that we learn under pressure so that we can feel what it's like for them to actually work when needed. Sometimes that requires a little bit of pain. I've never known a BJJ practitioner who wasn't sore most of the time. I've never known a martial arts practitioner who didn't get nicked up or banged up, right? I've also never known an athlete who didn't experience those same things. So there are times where we're going to be sore, where we're going to be nicked up, where we're going to have a jammed finger or a whatever. We're going to learn from some pain. That's okay. That's okay. One of the biggest lies the younger generation has been taught is pain's always bad. You should avoid pain at all costs, right? It hurts to go for a run and push yourself to the point where you're getting better. It hurts to roll with someone who's quite a bit bigger than you. It hurts to hold the pad and absorb a kick or a punch that we're not used to absorbing. And it's also very, very good for us. And so we're going to build capability, and that's going to come with a little bit of pain. It also takes time. It takes time, a commitment where we say, we're going to show up, right? My kids, as much as anybody, are very, very active, very involved, right? I understand that our kids these days are very active and are pulled in many directions. I get it. Understand that the training we do at Apex is a benefit, one, to every sport that they'll ever play, but also every endeavor that they'll ever undertake. We train the body. We absolutely do. Far more, we train the mind. Far more, we train that indomitable spirit that says, I'm resilient. I can make it through tough times. So Apex is practically based. Apex is not a belt mill. We don't even use belts. I will never charge you for a belt test. And if you've trained before, you know what I'm talking about. Apex does not sell false confidence. One of the things to build practicality it requires is honest training partners. One, training partners who are good and allow you to learn and work a skill, but they're honest training partners as well. They push you to develop that skill correctly so that it actually works, rather than let you off the hook and pretend that it works, and now you leave with a false sense of confidence. One of the things that I talk to about with everyone who's in class, everyone who instructs, everyone who assists instructs, is we build the real thing. We are not about lying to you. And unfortunately, as capitalism, which I'm a big fan of capitalism, please don't get it twisted, but as the idea of making and chasing the dollar overtook the martial arts world, the MMA world, to keep the dollars coming in, school owners started lying to their students and telling them that they had achieved something that they hadn't, and that they were something that they had not yet become. Absolutely, they had the potential to become that, but they had not yet become it. And so that is something that we rely heavily on. By the way, again, if you're not training with Apex and you're watching this from the preparedness mindset, this is the trap that you fall in yourselves. If you've been preparing for a year, you tend to believe you're fully prepared. If you've been, maybe you're training with firearms and now you're 5 years in and I've got it licked. I've got it licked. You're probably very good. You absolutely do not have it licked, right? We don't want to embrace a false sense of security. We want to always build the real thing. The great thing about that is that journey never ends, right? Which is one of the best and most rewarding parts of training all of these skills, whichever modality we're talking about. But in this case, MMA, training is a journey that can go on forever. Which brings us to the 8th pillar of Apex MMA. It is a physical activity, but what I will tell you is that physical health is a moral responsibility. Now, I'll give you a caveat to this in a minute, but physical health is a moral responsibility. Your body is not optional equipment. It's the vessel that God gave you to protect and to provide. I'm going to go a little further, and then again, the caveat's coming, so hang with me. But if you can't run, if you can't fight, if you can't lift, if you can't think clearly because you've neglected your health and your body, your family pays the price. If you can't run, if you can't fight, if you can't lift, if you can't be clear in a dangerous situation because you've allowed your body to deteriorate, it's your loved ones who pay the price. Now, understand, we are all gifted genetically differently. Many of us are born with physical disadvantages that limit areas of physical growth. No problem. All you can do is the very best that you can do. I learn this every morning. Those of you who know me personally, I train with 2 monsters every single morning. I lift with 2 men who make me look like a little person. I train with 2 men who I stand in their shadow and cannot see the sun. Genetically, I will never be as large as they will. I will never pick up the weight that those guys can pick up. No problem. What I can do is my best, right? Understand everyone's born with a different body type. Everyone's born with a different set of strengths and weaknesses. Some people can run for days. Other people can't run across the gym. No problem. Wherever you are on that spectrum, we can take it and we can get better, right? Some people can lift all the weight in the world. Some people can't pick up anything. No problem. Wherever you are on that spectrum, we can take it and get better. Some people can throw a strike or a submission or an escape really naturally. It just happens for them. Some people can't punch their way out of a wet paper sack. No problem. Wherever you are on that spectrum, we can take it and get better. That's the goal. The goal is not, oh, I've got to be a physical specimen so that I can train. It's absolutely not the case at all. It's I take where I'm at today and I commit to working on the physical side of me so that I can be healthier. A protector trains their body because the stakes are bigger than them, right? It's easy if I'm by myself, if all I had to think about was me, just to let myself go. If that was the only responsibility that I had, which, by the way, no one has just that responsibility, even if you live by yourself. I believe we have a moral responsibility to those around us to be better than that. So wherever we are on that physical fitness, physical health continuum is great. We embrace it with humility and we try to get better, right? Now, what comes with that is a wonderful byproduct. It leads us to the ninth pillar of APEX MMA, and that's the emotional control that comes from working and putting our body through challenging situations, right? Understanding that I can be strong. I can develop skills that are specifically designed to my body type, that work with, I have injuries in my body that limit skills for me, but I also have strengths and assets and attributes in my body that I'm naturally predisposed to being good at. I can build those, I can diminish those weaknesses, and I can be skilled. I can have that peace that comes from training with discipline and with humility, and so that I don't get in that situation and I lose my temper and escalate a situation that could be avoided, right? The story I told you about my friend David, if he had let his emotions run out wild, he would have escalated a situation that wouldn't have ended good for him or the other person, right? If we lose our temper, we lose the fight. Even if we walk away from a physical confrontation, if we lose our temper, we've lost the fight. So we can keep our emotions under control. We can be calm. We can be steady. We can be stable, right? Again, it's one of the reasons that I talk about when you're rolling. Fix your face. Relax your face, right? Don't smile, have big, goofy face. Relax your face. Jocko says it really well. Detachment is a superpower. Being able to, this was a compliment paid to me by one of the students, one of our adult students, is I was rolling with a guy who's 270 pounds. And while I was rolling with him, I was teaching another group of students who were watching us. And the compliment that was paid to me was that I was detached. I understood exactly what was happening physically in the role that I was a part of, but I was also able to have the conversation as they were asking questions or observing certain things. I took that as a really great compliment. That detachment that we build from reps and from training and from, as you notice, all of these things stack on top of each other, really comes from emotional control. So one of the things we focus on is emotional control while under stress. Anyone watching this video, parents watching this video, because you might have your students take part in an APEX MMA school somewhere, or considering training firearms, which might be really foreign to you. If you think about your emotional responses to stress, and could we improve those? Could we improve those for our children? Could we help our children respond to stress in a healthier way? Would we? I feel like all of us as parents would answer yes. So one of the primary benefits that students at APEX MMA, students at APEX Training Systems, and those of you not involved with APEX at all, one of the primary benefits you get from training is a built-in emotional control while in stressful situations. Now, Number 10 is really one of the fun parts, right? It's really one of the best bonuses that we get when we join a training community, and it is just that. Community is far better than isolation. So the 10th pillar of Apex is building community. Lone wolves look really cool in the movies. Lone wolves who walk through the world and conquer every situation are great TV, right? Whether it's Rambo or Reacher, the guy who's going it alone is fun. It's fun to watch. It's entertaining. In nature, lone wolves die. In nature, lone wolves don't survive. Protectors, we as protectors, we need a tribe. I understand that I bear the responsibility for the safety, security, protection, physically, mentally, and spiritually of my family. That is my job. I believe that in my core. I carry, ultimately, the responsibility for the physical, mental, and spiritual health of my family. I believe, again, I don't want to get preachy here, but I believe that's ordained by God. I believe that that is ultimately a call that he has placed on all of us as men. Speaking just to you men right now and parents of young men, there's going to come a time where we understand we are the one responsible for the mental, physical, and spiritual health and protection and safety and security of our family in every situation. And that, guys, is hard. That's why we need a tribe. Moms who are thinking about training for yourself, thinking about training for your kids, you need the exact same tribe for the exact same reasons. Mama bears, right? If anything ever happens, the mama bear in me will come out. I agree that it will. And if we train that mama bear, man, she's going to be hard to beat. But you need the tribe. You need those who carry similar burdens so that you can share each other's strength. If you look at your child, maybe my youngest son is an athlete and a half, and he's a little undersized. No problem, right? I understand that that's going to be something he's going to have to work, train, and overcome, and he will do it. No doubt about it. We want to give our loved ones the discipline, the strength, the capability, the skills that I've talked about, but really the benefit of them developing those with others, with a tribe, exponentially increases their strength, right? The greater of the whole, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. We're stronger together. Why are we stronger together? We push each other. We see potential in each other that I may not see in myself, right? The members of my tribe, both in the community that I'm a part of, but also Apex, the guys who come in, they see a potential in me that I may not see in myself. And I see definitely that potential in them that they may not see in themselves. We hold each other accountable. When the discipline to come and work out is waning, the tribe gives you a call, shoots a text. Hey man, we've been missing you, right? We're nice to each other, right? Now our tribe may be may bust chops a little bit more, right? And be like, hey man, you sleepy? What's going on? But we hold each other accountable. We raise our standards together. We raise the standard of what we hold ourselves accountable to together. So when you're training Apex MMA and you're working on punches, elbows, right? Or you're working on hip escapes, right? And passing the guard, all of these skills that are required, right? To defend ourselves. When we're doing that, we're great. We're getting better. But when we're doing that with people equally committed to building those same skills, those same disciplines in themselves, we're way stronger. And we get an emotional, spiritual, intellectual benefit that we don't normally get. And so building the community, becoming a part of an Apex MMA community is a tremendous advantage. It is a tremendous value that is hard to find anywhere else. The first group of adults that I trained when I opened the doors to APEX MMA, I said, guys, I have very seldom found a way to build community better than training MMA together. The communities I've been a part of that were as strong as my MMA communities are my brothers from the Army, and then my brothers, who they know who they are, who I call them brother. Those are the only communities that I've been a part of that are as strong as the community, as the tribe that we build when we train MMA together. When we train firearms together, when we train together, the community that is built is incredibly strong. And I believe that there will be a day when that community will be required to help me stand. I've lived it. My community, my tribe has helped me when I was knocked flat on my back, pick me up, help me stand on my feet, and help me get moving forward again. And I believe that there comes a time, unfortunately, I believe there comes multiple times in our lives where we need our tribe to help us stand up. We don't let any member of our tribe quit on themselves. That starts with the young kids. Man, 2 days ago, trained one of our man, physically tons of potential. He was rolling with a young man who was a year older and a little bit bigger, and he said, I can't do it, he's too big. So we hit the refresh button really quick on, hey, this isn't about size, it's not about strength, it's about technique. Let's try it again. Before that class was over, he did the same technique to my 175-pound son, and it worked. He was ready to be done. He was ready to say, hey, this skill is not for me. I can't do this one because my training partner is 10 pounds heavier than I am. This kiddo's 110 pounds. His training partner was probably 120 pounds. And he said, man, this one's not for me. He was ready to quit in that moment, in that brief period of time. Now, this young man is not a quitter at all. I was never worried he would quit. He's a very, very impressive 8-year-old, right? But when it was over, he was able to do that technique to my 175-pound son. We don't let our tribe, we don't let the members of our community quit on themselves. We encourage them to be, I hate to say it, but you know it's coming. And if you're my age, you've heard it before, be all that they can be, right? We encourage each other to push through when it gets hard. Joe Rogan said, surround yourself with people who force you to be better. I heard one of my very closest friends, one of my best friends, say it better than Joe Rogan. He posted after we sometimes run what's called a gauntlet in our adult class. It's where we end an evolution of training and we put ourselves in a pressure cooker, and it's very, very hard. It's very difficult. And it's tailored for each individual so that they're safe, so that they can see a path to success. But we run the gauntlet is what we call it. And one of my really good friends, Mike, posted after running the gauntlet a picture, and he was wore out, and he said, man, being uncomfortable sucks. And the only thing that sucks worse is being comfortable. And it blew my mind. Oh, he's going to bust my chops after he sees this, but I'm going to say it anyways. My wife saw it, so I have to own it. It legitimately brought a tear to my eye because it was so true and so wise. The only thing that's worse than being uncomfortable is being comfortable not being the best version of ourselves. And once again, we are always going to chase the better version of ourselves. If we scale up, if we intend to grow anything in our career, in our health, in our intellect, if we're trying to grow and improve, we're always going to be seeking that better version of ourselves. We become comfortable with good enough, we begin to regress. Those of you who've hit middle age like me know, if I skip a workout, I don't just feel the ramifications of skipping that workout for a couple of hours. I feel the negative impacts of skipping that workout for like 3 days. If I skip a week worth of workout, it takes me a month to get back to where I was before I skipped that week. And so if I'm always chasing the better version of myself, I could sleep in. When I committed to getting into real shape as a guy in my 40s, I started with my best friend working out at 4:30 in the morning. You've heard me talk about it on this podcast, I'm sure. Those of you who've trained with me, you may not have heard, but I struggle a little bit with sleep. And so there were lots of times where I wouldn't get any sleep, and I chose comfort at the beginning. I was like, I gotta sleep in, man. I didn't get any sleep. Sleep's important. We want to work out hard enough. We want to train our bodies hard enough so that sleep becomes easier for us. But if we choose that comfort, we start to regress. Whereas instead, we say, no, being uncomfortable is going to help me be better. It's going to help me be healthier. It's going to help me have a better day. It's going to help me have a clearer mind. It's going to help me be a better husband. It's going to help me be a better father. Parents, when our kids understand that it's okay to embrace discomfort, it's going to make them a better student. It's going to make them a better learner. And ultimately, it's going to make them a healthier, stronger young adult and then adult. The worst disservice we can do to our kids is tell them they have to be comfortable. The worst disservice we can do to our children is tell them that if they're ever uncomfortable, someone's doing them harm, someone's doing them wrong. I had a long career in education where I dealt with parents who their sole purpose in life was to make sure that their child was comfortable at all times. They're hurting their kids. Allowing our children to embrace discomfort helps them discover their strength. So like my friend Mike said, it sucks being uncomfortable. And the only thing that sucks worse is being comfortable. Now, the 11th pillar talks about who we want to be. We focus on servant leadership. The most lethal, most dangerous, the strongest men I know are not tyrants. They're not bullies. They live to serve. A protector leads by serving their family. A protector leads by serving their buddies in the hallway at school, by serving the community. The people who look to them, lean on them, they need their strength. So we work on serving each other. Be a good training partner. Just because you have the capability to beat up the person you're training with, you're never going to do that. You're going to help that person develop whatever skill we're working on. That translates in every area of life. A pastor who I respect greatly said, the strongest men are those who serve the most. That was Joe Champion, who has built a huge church without having fallen into the trap of that many mega churches fall into. The strongest men are those who serve the most. This is true in my life. The strongest men I know are always looking for ways to help, to reach down and grab a hold of someone and lift them up and help them achieve the next level, help them level up. Those are the type of kids I want. I want my sons to always be looking for who they can serve, who they can help, right? I believe we all want that. Sometimes we need to be the ones who are receiving the help. Absolutely. That's what the tribe, that's what the community is about. But we want to get ourselves to a place where we can always be on the lookout to help and to serve and to love others. When I'm confident that I can handle any eventuality that may transpire, my eyes are wide open for ways to help others. That's what we're trying to build. When I lack that confidence, when I don't have the confidence that comes from training, I become more inward focused. I look more on me and my own and pay little attention to what's going on, to the needs of those around me. And it makes it harder to become a person who loves and cares about and serves others. So we focus on trying to get ourselves to a place where we are squared away enough that we can be servant leaders. Now, the 12th pillar culminates all of this together in an identity, knowing who we are and who we're called to be, who we're supposed to be. So identity is the foundation of everything that we do. When you know you're a protector, when you know that you're a leader, when you know that, however old you are, my 7-year-olds who train at Apex right now, they know they're supposed to be a leader. They know they're supposed to be responsible and look out for those who can't look out for themselves. And they're working to become capable. They become committed. They're committed to being those things. And they understand that there's a purpose to becoming this version of themselves. Your purpose is real. Your purpose can become very clear. Your path can become straight. The road can rise up to meet your feet. And then you understand, hey, every one of our lives is meaningful. There is a reason we're here. I believe that with all my heart. There's a reason that you are here. And you're an hour into this podcast because either you've been listening to Relentless Warrior Podcast or you are considering training, which is a hard thing to do. There's a reason you're here. And in the journey, we discover the reason. That's the final pillar, is that we understand that building all of this, having the humility, having the discipline, becoming prepared, serving others, it becomes who we are. We identify that, oh, wow, this is who I'm supposed to be. Apex isn't just about building fighters. We're building identities. We're building identities that men and women, children can become comfortable in their skin, in who they are and why they're here. They know why they exist and they know who they're meant to become. We have conversations all the time. We train, our youngest, I think in the flagship school, our youngest trainer is 6 and our oldest is 62. Both of those learners, both of those protectors are discovering every day a little bit more who they are and who they're meant to be. Their smile's growing. The love and the fire and the passion in their heart's growing. That's the why. So I could talk to you all day long about, well, it's really great to understand that I could defeat a bully if a bully were to pick on me. It's a great side effect. It's a great side effect. I've sold it myself. I understand the guys who own schools and fall into that. We do teach discipline. We do teach integrity. We do teach loyalty. We don't say those things in a paragraph at the end of every class. We seek to live them out. That's the goal. Now, shot of reality. And again, those of you who've been with us a long time on Relentless understand I'm asking every practitioner of Apex MMA to watch this specific episode. And so I haven't been quite as paint a clear picture of reality as I usually am, but understand this. Building this identity that has these capabilities allows us to rise to the occasion when someone brings 300 years of the past to our front door. What I mean by that is when someone brings violence to us, God forbid, right? My prayer is that it never happens. But if it does, if someone brings violence to our doorstep, this identity that we seek to build allows us to meet that violence, to overcome it for the sake of those that we love. One of my very good friends, I consider him a mentor in many ways, Clay Martin, has a saying. He attributes it to someone else, but I heard it from him, so I'm going to attribute it to him. If we have to, we can be the reason the forest is haunted. Part of my identity is understanding I don't ever want to get in a fight again. I'd like to live the rest of my life and never get in a fight again. But I also understand that if someone brings a fight to my doorstep, I can be the reason that my home becomes the forest and that forest is haunted. Someone brings a fight to our children. Someone brings a fight to your wife. Moms, if someone brings a fight to you or your daughters, you can build yourself up to a place where, if need be, you can be the reason that forest becomes haunted. You can be the reason. You can be the mama bear, right? One of our moms, this is so great. We're going to we're having a special class called Bring Your Girl with our adults coming up. And we've got some teenagers who train with us. And one of our teenagers came up to me and goes, Coach, my mom's been training in MMA since she was 12. And I said, great. And so the purpose of Bring Your Girl is you get to be their partner. They're going to learn some self-defense, anti-assault, anti-abduction skills, and you're going to be the person they learn it on. He goes, I don't want my mom to practice on me. She throws a whale of a punch. Fantastic, right? That's fantastic, right? She is, I have no doubt, the mama bear can come out and be very real, right? And you can build that too. So that's what APEX MMA is all about, right? Again, we have 6-year-old boys and girls all the way up to people in their 60s, and each one of them are taking steps to understand and uncover these areas of their identity every day. So I hope this resonates with you. If it does, please feel free to share this with others who might be interested in training. If you're not in Central Texas, if you're somewhere else and you're watching this and somewhere else, find a community, find a tribe that will help train these attributes in you, help you develop these same attributes. If you are in Central Texas, I promise you it's worth the drive. The tribe is worth the drive. Now, I'm not going to say me, I'm not worth the drive, right? I'm just one guy. The tribe is worth the drive, right? I bring some things to the table that not many do. I'm going to own that, right? It's hard for me to say that, but I bring some things to the table, some experiences to the table that not many in the martial arts community do. If you're in Central Texas, it's worth the drive. Okay. I would encourage you to come and find out. If you've already come through the door, if you've already reached out and this is what was sent to you, I hope this resonated to you. I can't wait to hear from you. Right? If you're somewhere else in the world, in the country, I've got a relatively extensive network. If you're looking for a place to train, reach out to me and ask if there's suggestions. I've got guys who train all over the country, and I can help you plug in to a community, and I would absolutely love to do that. Nothing in it for me whatsoever, but I would love the opportunity to help you plug into a tribe, to a community that can help you develop these skills. Again, thank you for your time. It's about an hour of a podcast, but if building this identity isn't worth an hour of our time, then it's not going to be worth coming and training consistently and doing what it takes. So I appreciate you giving me the time. I love you. As always, stay strong, stay capable, stay ready. This is the Relentless Warrior Podcast.